So as you begin to, or people begin to get involved with or get excited about this law of attraction, law of creation, deliberate intentional creation, whatever you want to call this idea or this concept of being able to think about something and feel a certain way about it in your imagination and then somehow have it magically manifest in your physical world for you to experience. Well, that concept is really attractive to a lot of people. And what happens to them is they get excited and they start to go try to effort themselves into thinking about something that they want. And then there's this thinking about it and thinking about it, and then it's not there. And then a thinking about it and a thinking about it, and then mm, it's not there. And then there's this kind of like really not a lot of attention on the feeling part of it, just so mastered by the thinking. And as this constant thinking about the thing that they want, and then the opening of the eyes, and then the not seeing it of it being anywhere, it creates a little bit of a give upness or a hopelessness or a, it's not here yet, or I don't really know how to do this. So the more time that goes by when somebody's trying to intentionally or deliberately create something, the more desperate the explanation for why it doesn't work gets. So let me say that differently and give you an example. As time goes by and you don't see any proof of your manifestations, you begin to manufacture reasons on why the things that you want aren't here. And the longer time goes by, the more kind of esoteric and I guess helpless the stories become, because the stories become driven that there's reasons in this universe that are keeping my manifestations from occurring that are bigger than me or that are out of my hands. So I'm left with an explanation of, yeah, I'm really good at doing this manifestation stuff, but the things that I'm looking to manifest aren't here because, and then I'll say something like, I'm paying back some karmic debt from past lives. So, okay. My astrological chart shows that Mercury is in retrograde with Venus right now. So I'm in a phase of my astrological translations where I'm not able to manifest right now. But, in like 6 months, that will free up and I'll be in a new lunar cycle and then I'll be able to manifest again. But all of these reasons on why they can't manifest, none of which are accurate, because this law is extremely simple. This law is what you think and focus your attention on is what you're getting more of. So you can leave it just like that and then start to understand that all these explanations, they get to be a little bit fishy for telling you why things aren't manifesting. And as time goes by now, this desperateness and this kind of hopelessness get bigger and bigger and bigger. And what happens is there's this longing or wanting and desiring things to happen so bad that you get very desperate. The individual gets very, very desperate or very edgy about wanting this thing to manifest. And the determining factor for how wound up or how desperate they get in this wanting this manifestation is determined by how much they've got attached to this thing manifesting as a representation of who they are. Or said differently, the desire to have the manifestation and the suffering attached to it is directly proportional to how much you think this means about you if you manifest this thing. So if it's money, which is the one that's the most common for people, if you're wanting more money and you're wanting more money, and the reason you want more money is so people will think that you're worthy and that you're good enough and that you are somebody, well, then there's going to be a stronger pull or stronger desire to try to make that manifestation happen for you. And the tricky or paradoxical thing about this work is the harder you try to get something, the further it gets away from you. So if you're out there and you're looking at this and you're noticing that you find yourself in that desire to have something so tenaciously, you're going to have to start to back off of it. You're going to have to start to be okay with it not being here. You're going to have to start to relax into and just imagine the experience and the feeling of the experience of having it and just enjoy that. And as you begin to just focus on enjoying that and letting go of any ways or means of how that manifestation is supposed to come back to you, you will begin to feel a lightness come over you. You will begin to experience a greater sense of ease. Your body will begin to lighten up. You will begin to flow a lot more into the world. You'll start to notice that your estimation for effort on how you move things in the physical world is more in tune and more in harmony with your life and how you're feeling. Everything begins to move into a condition of flow. And as you begin to move into this condition of flow, you start to notice all this tension and resistance in your body begins to release. As this tension in your body begins to release, you now create a space of yourself, which is known as a space of allowance or into a space of receiving, to where you no longer now have all this resistance floating around in you and this desperateness. You now are experience yourself in a state of allowing, and now you start to see evidence of these things that you've been wanting. Now that you've taken off all the trying to get it, it starts to come to you. So the thing you want to take from this conversation is the paradox of you have to learn to relax. You have to learn to get yourself to a space of allowing these things to come to you, or they can't. And the last thing I'll tell you is they're trying to come to you right now. And the only thing that's stopping them from being experienced in your universe is that this resistance that you're manufacturing is holding it at bay. So practice relaxing, practice a lot more easing, more practicing quieting the mind, and just paying attention and being on a constant, steady watch for these things that you've been asking for. And I promise you, as you experience yourself calming down, you're going to start to see evidence of things that you've been wanting start to show up. It's just the way it works. It's actually physics. This is really, really physics. And it's really the physics of energy, where we're putting our attention on this thing over time and then allowing this thing to show up and be received by us, instead of thinking about something that we want and then desperately trying to get it to show up. So whatever condition you find yourself in, I want to let you know from my own experience and from well over 1,000 people that I've worked with this lifetime, it's a crummy feeling to not feel good. When you don't feel good, you got one real problem, and it kind of tarnishes, or it clouds, or it kind of invades and kind of dampens and kind of ruins everything that you're experiencing in life. You can't create new concepts and new stuff from there. Life is just kind of a bummer, and it's not a conversation that you really have a bunch of outlets to speak about. It's just you feel crummy, and then you spend time trying to just kind of hold on to your crumminess. The problem with that is you can't ever handle the crumminess by doing something different and more. The only way you're going to handle the crumminess is by discovering what the source of the crumminess is and then how to handle it. That's why I'm inviting you to join the Skool community, because in the Skool community, you're going to get a course full of modules where you're going to see me talking about these specific component parts of the law of manifestation, law of attraction, law of creation, whatever you want to call it. You're going to watch those videos. You're going to understand that this course is encapsulated in such a way that you can fully have an experience of yourself knowing what to do now. You can also download a free copy of my book, Think It, Feel It, Have It, The Keys to Creation. Just a quick blurb about that book. In there, I talk about the magnetic force, the magnetic field of the heart, the electromagnetic field of the heart, 5,000 times more powerful than the electromagnetic field of the mind. That's going to start to tell you something about how we're going from here to down into here. Also, over the last 15, 20 years, I've gathered what are the sources and the main causes of the resistance that we create for ourselves. I'm going to give you that as well. So you also, as you move and you start doing this work, you start to realize, if I don't keep in this conversation or stay with this work, I start to sink back into these old ways of being, or old thought patterns, or old conditioning, or old programming. So what I've done is I've now incorporated a weekly phone call that keeps you in this conversation. It's not the same as going to church, but the frequency of it and the experience of it is going to be the same. And that is, you're going to gather more knowledge, and you're going to release some more resistance and experience more relief. And lastly, this is a whole community. I think right now there's a couple hundred people in the Skool community. This is a whole community of like-minded people like you. You can start to interact with people in the group and start to find out more as you're moving along. And lastly, if this is something that's resonating for you and you're ready to really keep going and really take this on in a real concerted, directed, focused manner, there's programs where you and me can work together one-on-one. So let's get moving. Like, no kidding. Let's start moving in the direction that you want to, and have you start feeling better and start experiencing things that you want to experience in your life. Book a one-on-one call with me. And in that call, I'm going to lay this out for you really, really clear, in such a way that at the end of the call, you're going to understand that there is a way that you can go about getting yourself to be able to intentionally create things for yourself and for your life, and that how you've been doing it isn't this way. And I'm going to give you that on this phone call. Whether you choose to work with me further, that's a completely different conversation. And if that's something that comes up for you, we'll work that out at the time. But right now, let's just get in touch and let's let you see just how this actually works, which I'm telling you, you're going to find is different than how you've been holding it. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with you and talking with you.